kind of a fun lecture to give because it talks about excellence and how you can achieve excellence. And I have a lot of video clips, I have a lot of pictures of grandkids, of family members in my program, so hopefully you'll enjoy this. I am now, as of August 1st, I went from full professor to adjunct professor at Otterbein University, and I teach nursing. I'm a perioperative nurse for years and years, past president of AORN, and so it's kind of trying to decide what is normal for me now in semi-retirement. I still teach a lot about surgical smoke. My PhD dissertation is my research is all about surgical smoke. So I travel around for industry and do a lot of lectures on surgical smoke and how you shouldn't be breathing this stuff in. So what we're going to talk today is about how to achieve excellence as a perioperative nurse. And this lecture kind of evolved from when I was awarded AORN's Award for Excellence in 2003. And the recipients have to talk about how do you achieve excellence or something that is profound, it's supposed to be anyway, about this award and how you were considered to be part of that award recipient. But what we're going to do is, one objective is describe what's needed to achieve nursing excellence. So my main question to you is, would you recommend your lifestyle to your patients? And that's kind of a sobering question sometimes. Would we really do that? So many times, this is how we define excellence. You know, your scholarship, what do you have, what degrees do you have, and unfortunately it shouldn't always be like that. Do you use evidence-based practices? Do you have a dedicated commitment to your service to your patients? And as a professional, that's what we always define it as, but it's a little bit more than that. It's basically a huge commitment, but it's a little bit more than that. So perioperative excellence, and like I said, we give in AORN the Award for Excellence. We don't give it every year, but I was very proud to receive this award in 2003. And we give this award based on research and practice and just this excellence that the nurse may portray. But Paula Grayling, past president of AORN, says we're anonymous in our work. Yes, we are, but we're famous in our failures. So everybody focuses on our failures, so we have to be aware of that happening. So when I ask nurses to define what excellence is, they're saying things like this. You know, you're a good listener, you're compassionate, you're committed, you're professional, and it's the art of calming. That's what excellence is all about. When I talk to my students, I highlighted theirs, you know, that you're an advocate, that you have confidence and competence, and you have a willingness to learn, you're a professional, and you're portraying optimal care that you're giving to your patients. So anybody ever hear of Ansel Adams? Oh yeah, he does amazing work. He's a recognized photographer specializing in black and white, showing that beauty and that majesty in everyday common things. So what we learned from his is that everyday patient care is not majestic, but when it becomes a habit, excellence prevails then. So even Aristotle says we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. What do you do repeatedly, over and over and over again? This is your walk in life. And so if you don't have those really good evidence-based habits that you're showing everybody all the time, excellence doesn't prevail. And when I was thinking about this, I thought, well, I really can show and stress this through what happened to Captain Sully when he landed on the Hudson. That was excellence shown. So let's take a look at that. So he took off just fine. Up in the air, oh no, here come all the birds. What do you do when things like this happen? Good engines, turn it back to record again. I think they're already getting out of the airplane. So that's excellence, isn't it? Excellence portrayed in his profession. So I thought, well, how can I explain what you need to be excellence? The last one is the most important one I want you to really listen to when I get to that 5th point. But I thought, well, I'll go to the top 5 secrets of excellence in nursing, and that using the Letterman style, where they do 10, but we're going to just make it 5. So what do you need to achieve excellence in your perioperative nursing career? You have to be passionate. Are you passionate about perioperative nursing? Okay, is this what you look like? This is you leaving on Friday. This is you going home from, this is you going home from work on Friday. That's your passion. Oh yeah. But how do you look when you come back to work on Monday? Is that passion still there? Some of you can really relate to that, I know. Oh, well, I guess I'm here. So, pig and a chicken were walking down a country road early one morning and saw a sign in the restaurant window that said ham and eggs, $2.79. The chicken looked at the pig and said, well, will you look at that? What would that breakfast be without my contribution? And the pig just reeled back and said, your contribution, for me, it takes a total commitment. So, are you just contributing to your profession, what you're doing, or are you fully committed to nursing and perioperative nursing and patient care? So maybe you are very passionate, and then you're surrounded by all these naysayers. How do you get your point across? How do you show and how do you share your passion? Well, let's use Toy Story. You can't fly. Now that's passion. So you still have those naysayers. You have to be able to have that ability to share your passion and even handle those naysayers out there. So you should have passion and self-motivation. You can't depend on your organization to send you back to get your bachelor's degree or your master's or your doctorate. That's your responsibility. I mean, they may help with paying for it, but scholarship is something that's part of our agenda. We are in a lifelong learning career. And so you have to have some motivation, some passion to continue that learning. So the number 4 top secret to excellence in perioperative nursing is being a risk taker. So are you a risk taker? Now, some of you would not want to go on this slide at an amusement park
And this is my girlfriend taking a picture of her adult son who has children who probably forced him to get up there and go down this slide. And he is not a risk taker, that's for sure. So she's waited. He's on the slide right now, and she's waiting and she's waiting. She's waiting just to see, you know, why, you know, is he actually coming down? He's not. Oh, here he comes. He is not that risk taker. So you know if you're a risk taker or not. Here's an 80-year-old lady who's a risk taker, skydiving on her 80th birthday. Would you do that? Would you be that kind of risk taker? We don't have those big, huge challenges, but you know, are you? Did you see it? Watch again. You have to suffer the consequences sometimes when you're a risk taker. So we have to be able to thrive in chaos, and sometimes chaos, because there's so much stress and chaos, we don't want to be risk takers anymore. So we have to see the signposts. We have to read the trends and understand the trends of what's going on. Slow down or die. You know, you have to be able to expect the unexpected, especially in our perioperative environments. You have to be able to deal with stress. This guy's just really kind of dealing with stress, and you think you have stress, that poor little dog says. So you have to identify the stressor. What is causing you to be stressed and not want to have passion or not want to be a risk taker? And in healthcare, we have all kinds of stressors. We have inaccurate instructions. We have interruptions, lack of resources, multitasking, gossip, #1 orally transmitted disease. We have gossip, intimidation, lack of recognition or control. We just don't feel like we have control for anything. We have to be able to read those signs, and sometimes those signs are very confusing. You know, which way do you go? And here's great signs. Tells you exactly where bathrooms. That's the ideal world. And here's the obvious: choroidal day surgery, direct endoscopy, entrance at rear. Yeah, well. And then we have to deal with those irrational personalities in our workplace environment. Renee just did a great lecture on dealing with irrational and disruptive physicians. So we have to be able to deal with those personalities. No, you can't talk to my boss, he's on the other line. Or here's one: how many times if we had just thought, if I just close my eyes, the bitch will go away. And you're picturing somebody in your mind right now that fits. I don't know, maybe that person's sitting right next to you, who knows, I don't know. So what are the effects of stress? It speeds up the aging process. You're going to get older quicker. It saps your vitality. You don't have that energy. It weakens your immune system, so you're more prone to conditions and diseases, and it causes other troubling symptoms. So you have to be able to handle the stress. And your response, this is the most important thing, your response determines the outcome of that situation. How you respond to that situation determines what the outcome will be.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you sure your mic's on? Because I can't. I checked in the back.
Okay. Yeah, the red light's on. Oh no, the green light's not on. Battery must be dead.
We had it. We checked it before we started, right? Because you were.
Test.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll speak loudly. I'm sorry back there. So how do you handle the stress? Well, you have to focus on that situation, not on your own feelings and how that made you feel. Your response determines the outcomes. You have to avoid blaming. It's a situation. That person probably is a really good person, but he or she did something wrong. Well, you know, it's not the blaming that will make it better. You have to keep things in perspective and remain positive. That helps you be a risk taker. So #3 top secret is being a visionary, being inventive, being creative, kind of foreseeing what's going to happen in the future and being able to understand that. How are you with computers? So we have to realize, how are we computer literate, or we just don't want to try those new devices, those robots they bring into surgery? You know, are we staying up with our profession? Are we seeing some positivity in that? Are we seeing that the glass is half full? Actually, it is 100% full because 50% there and 50% water in that situation. So here we go. Here are the staff members who aren't the leaders, who are visionary, and they're just, oh, we'll just throw snowballs at all the leaders. We'll show them. And that visionary leader, that matron, is going to take care of everything and teach everybody a little lesson. There we go. So these are visionaries. So are you inventive? Are you creative? You have to be able to be a creative person to work in surgery and have excellence and staying up with inventions, just these little pin-like structures, and all of a sudden you have a whole way to set up a PowerPoint presentation. And this is the car we're going to come in the future with. There we go. So are you curious and inventive? Is your curiosity gone? If you think it has been, who would you go to find out more about how you want to be curious and reclaim that used to have? You have to be able to deal with these compromising situations. Who do you think you might go to who's very curious and inventive? Little kids. And you can just watch and observe them to see, wow, maybe I wasn't that inventive. So here's an example of a new perioperative nurse someday. Very inventive. She's going to work in surgery someday. So she's got it together. She's curious. She's inventive. The second top secret in achieving excellence in perioperative nursing is being a team player. The team is so important and such power that you have when you work as a team. You have to be able to see the potential in others. When you work as a team, you can achieve greatness. This is a team. They're herding cats. Yeah. Okay. Well, then you always have the other team members. Oh, well, oops. It's hard to work with some of those co-workers. So be a mentor. Build that team. That's daily excellence that you're going to portray and help another achieve their own excellence. Nurses are made, not born. So you can be a part of that when you mentor these other folks. And number one, you have to be a good listener too. And then when you're able to absorb and listen and help people solve their problems, then you're helping to achieve excellence. And this is the most important one, the number one secret to achieving healthcare and this excellence in nursing, and that is to be balanced. And what does that mean? That means, okay, for example, you have died and they're going to have a funeral for you. And they're going to have somebody speak from your family, your circle of friends, and your professional colleagues. What would they say about you? Just kind of imagine what you think they would say about you. You're a workaholic. You don't take that much time for your family, or you spend a lot of time with your family. If you would die tomorrow, your workplace would probably replace you within weeks or days or maybe a month. But your family is going to feel your loss forever. So how much time do you spend with your family? Good quality time do you spend with your family? That's so important. Okay. Just pick a time. There we go. So in order to achieve balance, you have to prioritize. You know, what's important. And many of you will say, well, I can't go back to school until my kids are in school. Or I can't try to take my CNR test until blah, blah, blah. Until I have the money or whatever. So these are until people, and you know, until means a lot. And this was my until day, August 4th, 1989, when my husband, sitting back here, has white hair now. And my sons and some of our other kids were in the van with us, and we crashed. A truck pulled out right in front of us, and we crashed, folded right into it. And I was in the hospital 5 weeks. We were going to Chicago from Columbus, Ohio, and in Valparaiso, Indiana, this happened. So I was taken to a strange hospital and was in the hospital for 5 weeks with a broken dislocated hip, and they put that together in a closed manner on the night of the accident. But I laid from Friday until Monday in intensive care, and they're trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And what happened was I had my bare feet on the dashboard, my seat reclined a little bit, my big king-size pillow, I was sitting on the passenger side. And when we collided, my seatbelt was up too high, so I had a seatbelt injury. I had a ruptured duodenum. So 45 minutes before the wreck, we had McDonald's and fries and Coke, and that all rolled around in my belly, and I had peritonitis and pancreatitis and all kinds of fun things. So yeah, I had to have some surgery and circled the drain for a while. The airplane flew me back to my hospital, and I was in there 4 weeks. So yeah, I was a workaholic, and I realized that, you know what? Life is too short. You can be snuffed out in a moment's notice, and you need to take advantage of every day that you're blessed with having. And so who takes care of you? What about you? Well, even when you fly in an airplane, they say, put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. So if you don't take care of yourself, how can you expect others to help others appropriately? Even when we were coming in the Columbus Dispatch yesterday morning when we arrived, we took the newspaper with us on the airplane that said, the part of Metro and State section, healers at risk. And they were talking about stress and how we don't take care of ourselves, and that we're at risk of not being able to take care of our patients because we haven't taken care of ourselves. So we need to focus on ourselves, because here's the statistics and the trends that are out there. Baby boomers, millennials, greatest generation, they're all aging, and we want to age gracefully, don't we? Some do, some don't. And the effects of aging, you know, wrinkles, gray hair, flab, hair in unwanted places, stiff neck, and other chronic conditions. And we need to be able to handle and manage things like this. So we need to make wellness a part of our life. We need to not feel guilty when we go have a massage or go have a pedicure and a manicure. No, it's okay to do those things because that's taking care of you. We are so invested in taking really great care of our patients, but what about you? You get burnout because you're working too many 12-hour days in a row. So what do we have to have? We have to have a healthy body, obviously, healthy mind and soul, have a healthy family, contribute to a healthy society, and have healthy finances to make this all work, to have balance in life. So a lot of these pictures, this is our godchild in New Zealand. A lot of these pictures are our grandkids and that are in this section. But you have to have good nutrition and have exercise that you're doing regularly and have the right amount of sleep and rest. So with nutrition, you know, we get to teach our kids what nutrition's all about. We had a meatloaf contest over in the left-hand picture. My husband challenged my granddaughter to meatloaf making, and all the family was there, and who made the best meatloaf. We had somebody who is in our family who does critics on restaurants and food service, and he was the judge. Of course, the granddaughter won. But yeah, well, C. Everett Koop says that dietary imbalances are the leading preventable contributions to premature death in the United States. Dietary imbalances, so easy to solve. So we have to understand what are those healthy foods and pass that on to our children, our grandchildren, and let them help. with the cooking, so they know how to do all these things. But you say to a teen today, well, what are the 4 food groups? And they're going to say McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, and Pizza Hut. You know, here we have the Ronald McDonald Funeral Home now. 18.5% of our teens today are obese. 18.5% are obese. So that's a tragedy. So we used to have the pyramid of food, and then we added exercise to it, but now we have My Plate. And those are the portions you're supposed to eat in My Plate. So let's look at some of those food groups. Bread, cereals, rice, and pasta. You use whole grain, multigrain. Brown rice is best. Whole grain snacks are best if you can find those. And vegetables, prepare those fresh vegetables. They have lower sodium. Eat raw vegetables. You can't go wrong with raw vegetables. And for fruits, keep them available again for snacks. Bananas can help calm a chronic cough, and strawberries can reduce stress and calm anxiety. So put peppermint and strawberries in the doctor's lounge because it'll make them calmer. According to the American Cancer Society, when you have a diet mostly made up of plant foods, you can reduce the risk of cancer. Milk, yogurt, and cheese, choose that low-fat or fat-free. And what about meat, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, and nuts? Well, choose those lean meats, skinless chickens, even though we love that Bob Evans, or not Bob Evans, but Colonel Sanders crusty chicken outside. But the size, the portion you're supposed to have is about the size of a deck of cards. There was somewhere in the menu here at this hotel, it said a 36 ounce steak for $135 or something. They're serving it somewhere in the Palms. I thought, wow, that's bigger than the size of a deck of cards. So when you shop the outside aisles, because they're going to have your freshest foods, and shop the rainbow, brightly colored foods. Shop for a short-term expiration date, and shop for foods that don't need an ingredients list. These are your simple foods that you need to have in your diet. Did you know chocolate's a vegetable? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Well, chocolate's derived from cocoa beans, and beans a vegetable, right? And sugar, that's sugar cane, or beets, that's vegetable. So therefore, chocolate is a vegetable. And when you have milk chocolate, well, that's a dairy food. So no, not really. What about water? You're going to eat the right foods. What about water? Do we drink enough water? We put chlorine in water to get rid of all those bad things that are in there, but do we take all that chlorine out afterwards? And we found out that when you have a high exposure to chlorine internally and externally, you can have an increased risk for breast cancer, prostate cancer, and bladder cancer. Chlorine. So what are you going to do? You're going to drink at least 8 glasses of water every day, pH balanced water, and avoid those dehydrators, caffeine and alcohol. And people get on long airplane rides. When I say a long airplane ride, they're defining that as anything over 2 hours. And people get on an airplane and they will drink alcohol, and that's a dehydrator. And they're sitting there, deep vein thrombosis form in your legs. Those DVTs. I wrote an article about deep vein thrombosis and long airplane rides, the deadly duo, because 2,000 Americans die each year from long airplane rides and forming deep vein thrombosis. So we came in from Columbus, Ohio, nonstop to Las Vegas. We wore our compression stockings. I say when you have long airplane rides, you sew, S-E-W. S, you wear your compression stockings, at least over 15 millimeters of pressure in your legs. E, you get up and exercise, or if you can't get up, you just sit and pull your legs up and down, move your ankles all around to stop the deep vein thrombosis from occurring, because it helps, get your blood back into your main core of your body. And W, you drink water, and you don't wait for them to come around and bring water. Get a bottle of water and put it right in front of you, so you are on. We go to New Zealand a lot, and we get on that 14.5-hour flight, and you see people in shorts, and they're just, wow, you need to have your compression stockings on, because this is a true hazard with long airplane rides, because you're functioning in a dehydrated chamber. So avoid chlorinated water externally. We're always in pools and there's chlorinated water there, and you moisturize your body. When you get out of the shower and dry off, then put your moisturizing lotion on when your body is ready, your skin's ready to receive that moisturization. mist with a cool air mister on your face, and it prevents all those dry wrinkles from occurring too. So let's talk about skincare. Do you know your skin? Do you take care of your skin? Well, you need to know. You need to watch for moles and things like that. So you need to use sunscreen. The pig says to the bacon, maybe next time you'll try a little sunscreen. So important. Anybody have a class reunion coming up or a big wedding coming up and you really want to look good? My husband's going to have his 55th at the end of this month. So 48 hours before your big event, you eat a diet of salmon and cantaloupe. Those are both really high in omega-3s, and your skin will actually glow. Salmon and cantaloupe. What about skin cancers? Can you identify basal cell cancer or what squamous cell cancer looks like? And what about melanoma, ABCDEs? It's asymmetrical. One side isn't like the other side. The borders are irregular in melanoma. The colors vary from dark to light and starts out about the size of a pencil eraser, that diameter, and it evolves, it grows. Melanoma. Melanoma is very, very high incidence of it in New Zealand because their ozone layer is very thin because of the methane gas being emitted from all the sheep farts in New Zealand. They have so many sheep. And so I took my dad there with me one time, and he wanted to go cork all the sheeps for them. So it's not going to work. So what about exercise? Is it a part of your daily habits? When the grandkids stay overnight, we used to say no breakfast until you get downstairs and exercise because we have a fitness center in our basement. But here's some excuses we always hear. Don't have time, don't have the energy. I can't afford it. What? You can't afford to walk? My back hurts. It's boring. So we have all kinds of exercises. But in reality, in the United States, less than a third of us get the recommended amount of exercise every day. And 40% of us are almost completely sedentary. So get that Fitbit, put it on. How many steps have you taken? Follow what your phone says if you have that kind of an app. But every week, what we should do, have something with endurance. 4 to 7 days a week, we should be doing something that involves endurance. Walking, golfing, cycling, bicycling, yard work, aerobics. 4 to 7 times a week, we should do something that involves stretching and flexibility. Stretching and mopping and vacuuming, I guess, was all part of that. Doing yoga, but stretching those muscles are very important. And then the strengthening of your muscles, 2 to 4 days a week. You should be doing something that involves lifting and climbing and use of weights maybe. So have that in balance. And even, this is good too, we have recreation. Recreation means to recreate. And this is our grandson, and he was 10 years old, and my son tied him to a tree, and we all had to pay $1 to take a paper plate full of whipped cream and throw it at him. And so he made a lot of money that day. But that's, that's another way to do exercise. You're doing something. And we're walking around here when we came in yesterday morning, flew in yesterday morning, and we're seeing all the people with those slot machines, and they're going like this. Well, in the older days, what I used to love, you'd put your quarter in and you'd have to go like this. Put your quarter in and you have to go like this. And you had to work out. But now you just, just push that little slot machine and make it go. So when you are in an exercise program, whether it's a walking program or some full-fledged exercise program, you always stretch your muscles before you start that. Even when you go bicycling, stretch your muscles. And then post-walk or post-exercise, you want to stretch again. Do you get enough rest and sleep? You ever been this tired? You just can't go on any further. There we go. Just too tired. So here's the stages. When you're awake, most of you have high frequency waves. Your beta waves are going on right now in here, and maybe you're relaxed and you have slower frequency of your beta waves going on. Stage 1, then, you actually become drowsy. In stage 2, you have a little light sleep. You kind of lose awareness. I hit my husband all the time at a movie. He'll be back there at church. Stage 3, your blood pressure actually drops and your pulse and respiration are slowed, but you need to get into stage 4. Are you getting into stage 4 where you have all delta waves going on in your head? This is when your body's going to be restored. This is when your immune system is renovated and renewed. So if you're not getting into stage 4 sleep, you're going to be more prone to colds and any conditions that are that you can catch out there in the environment. So you want to boost your immune system by getting enough sleep. If your sleep is deprived, then your resistance is going to be very low. So if you're taking care of somebody else who is sick with maybe cancer therapy or whatever, and you're just so exhausted, you need to get that sleep too, so your body is renewed and rejuvenated so you can take care of that person better. Explore what you're sleeping on and what you're sleeping under. How long have you had your mattress? Mattress is not a lifetime purchase. Mattress is supposed to only last about 8 years, 8 to 10 years. There's a study done at the University of Chicago, and if you have less than 6.5 hours sleep, it affects your insulin use, your metabolism. So if you're not getting a lot of sleep, you may become pre-diabetic. What about healthy mind and soul? You have to have a healthy body, but healthy mind and soul is so important too. You know, are you going on and learning new things all the time? Not maybe a formal education class, but are you reading and learning what's going on in politics and what's going on in your environment? And it's so important to start children out early with their education. You're never too old to learn. I was 60 years old before I got my PhD. And so always trying to do more things. My book, my 4th edition, my laser book came out last year. And so no matter how old you are, education is still so critically important. And what about your soul, your spiritual core, your belief system? That really manages what you do too and how you react in situations. We were in Israel, and a couple of our friends were rebaptized in the Jordan River this year. Family Circle, back in November of '99, ran an article about what are you thankful for? And just stop and think about it from time to time. Are you thankful for the teenagers not doing dishes, but's watching TV because that means that she's at home and not out on the streets? Are you thankful for the taxes that you have to pay because it means you're employed? Are you thankful for the clothes that fit a little bit too snug because it means that you've had enough to eat? Yeah, we all have those clothes that fit a little bit too snugly. You're thankful for the alarm that goes off in the early morning hours because it means that you're alive. So we always have to reflect and think about what are we thankful for? We do, my husband and I do prison ministry, and we have a lot of inmates that we work with regularly. And what I did was I took gratitude sheets in. I had 31 days in there, and they had to fill them out every day, every evening before they went to sleep in this terrible type of morbid environment that they have to function in prisons. And they would write down what they were thankful for. I'm thankful for that the sun came up today, or I'm thankful for there's no bugs in the food today. Or, you know, some really, when I would read them, they'd send them to me, and it's like, wow. You know, and it made them very positive. And that's something that we really strive to bring them when they're in prison like that. So we have one that got out, he was in 28 years. And we had another one that got out last year. Was in 32.5 years. We have one more that we're trying to get out. He was incarcerated when he was 15, just turned 15. He's been in 33.5 years now. It's time for him to get out. Because your brain waves, your dopamine's flowing when you do a crime when you're a teenager. It's different than an adult brain. And so, yeah, we're trying to get him out. But the guy is the one down in front that's gotten out is a joy. He is just a great Christian man and works so hard, and he has just changed his life totally around. Just neat to see because he's so thankful for what he has. So you have to contribute to your healthy family. You know, stop and think, is your family healthy? You know, you may be watching over your body and your mind and your soul, but what about your family? Because what does family really mean? It means, you know, father and mother, I love you. And your core family is so important because that's where a lot of your actions and things that you have learned that you do during the day are from your family. And, you know, family time is so precious, especially with grandkids. You know, if we'd known the grandkids were that much fun, we wouldn't have had that first lot. We'd just stuck, you know, had the grandkids. So, you know, your kids, these are three sons, my one stepson, but my 3 sons, and they're crazy. And they learn from you too, so it's lots of fun to get everybody together. What about your yaya sisters or your buddy brothers? They're so important. Your yaya sisters or your buddy brothers are going to say, you know, that outfit looks terrible on you. Or did you gain a lot of weight this last week? You know, they'll tell you things like that. And they're honest, depressingly honest sometimes. And you have to listen to them because you know what? Those good friends you need to hold on to because they're far and few between, aren't they? So think about your good friends that are there to help you be a full person and achieve excellence. Then you need to contribute to a healthy society. You know, your political action. You can't miss what's in politics today. I'm very involved politically. I worked at the White House in 1994 with Hillary when I went as a bipartisan nurse, representing nurses in specialty practice when Hillary was attempting healthcare reform. So, yeah, it was interesting. I always tell people I was there before Monica. But yeah, it was an adventure to be able to work in politics, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. But get involved, know who your state congressman is in the federal branch and your senators, but know who your state legislators, your House member, your senator are in your areas. And then volunteer. This is my congressman, Pat Teaberry, in the upper left, and they didn't know they were going to have multiple children. They had a little girl, and then they wanted to have one more, and she got pregnant and had triplet girls. And so when they were born, he'd be in Washington from Tuesday to Thursday every week. So I got a band of nurses together, and we were at the Teaberry house from morning till night helping with those triplets. And they started school this year, or they're in school now. Jeannie LaFountain, volunteer services in the military, Banji's daughter. Volunteer services at your church. You know, how can you help make this a healthier community? And what about your professional organizations? This is Sister Clarissa Roy. You see her theories sometimes. You study those in nursing school. Becky Patton, past president of ANA. But join your professional organizations. How many are members of AORN? Yay, yay. Anybody members of their state nursing association? Okay. I was always told, and I always tell my students, belong to your state nursing association, which is part of the American Nurses Association. You're a nurse first, but then you're a nurse in specialty practice too. So belong to AORN. I've always belonged to those two critical associations. And then I felt that has built my nursing career too, of what I've learned. They've always kept me in front of everything, and I've learned so much by being involved with these organizations. And finally, what about healthy finances? Having healthy finances, you're working hard in your life, and this is what you're doing. That's favorite toy around our house. Our grandkids always love to play with the doctor kit. But, you know, everything costs so much anymore. You know, it'll cost you your arm, your leg, and your firstborn. It's going to get worse. But, you know, it's save your money, but make sure that you take time for a little bit of retail therapy because it'll make you feel so good. And take some vacations. Always save up for those vacations that you want to take. And what about donations? Make sure you have a little bit of benevolency within you, too. And if you, when you report this, give at least in reality what you've reported on your income tax form. Because I know a lot of people just report this big number and they never give that much. But give to your organizations because you can help other students coming along. You always don't have to have the best of the best. You can make do with some things. Here we go, horseshoes. Here's a lottery winner. Didn't build a big house, but has that limo. So you have to be balanced in order to achieve excellence. And so which direction are you headed? Are you headed towards nursing excellence? Do you have a plan? Did you write that plan down? Sometimes it's good if you write that plan down. Every year, my husband and I write down New Year's resolutions, and we get them out on December 31st and look at them like, oh, well, I didn't do that, or yeah, I really did that. So what are your resolutions? What are your plans of how you can achieve excellence? Would you, after you do all this, recommend your lifestyle to your patients? Because that's the key question you have to keep going back to. Would you really recommend what you're doing in your life to your patients? So are you achieving excellence in nursing? And how you achieve that is you have to be passionate. about it. You have to be a risk taker many times. You have to be a visionary. You have to be a team player, and you have to stay balanced. You always have to be balanced. And when you're balanced, then what you're going to do is have a healthy body. You're going to focus on that. You're going to have a healthy mind and soul. You're going to have a healthy family. You're going to contribute to a healthy society. And you're going to have healthy finances because you've saved for your retirement. So you have to have fun. You have to celebrate. Don't you? We don't do enough of that, but we did last night. That was fun, wasn't it? And yeah, you have to have fun. And when you have fun, your learning is intensified. You know, when you have fun learning, and my students in nursing school, if we have fun learning, like in my perioperative nursing course, which is all simulation, you have fun doing that, then they're going to learn a lot quicker and a lot better. So thank you for your attention. Are there any questions or any comments about how you've achieved excellence or trying to achieve excellence? We don't recognize our colleagues as much as we should many times. And when you see excellence in their work, you need to praise them. You need to put them up for an AORN award or an award within your hospital or a March of Dimes Nurse of the Year award. There's lots of ways to recognize your colleagues, especially in your own chapter. Yes, Valerie.
Thinking about, taking this back, and we have individuals that are excellent clinical providers, but they also
Can you hear her back there? Speak up
also,
just a little bit, Valerie.
they're also like martyrs. They never have time for their own personal health. They don't have time to take care of themselves.
They're workaholics.
Yeah. So how do you, what can you take back a piece to help them, move towards that?
Well, I think prioritizing your time is most important. My husband yelled at me all the time when I'd be up till 2 in the morning grading papers from school when I was full-time faculty. But you have to really divide your time out and prioritize, okay, what do I need to do now so I'll have more time for this, this, and this? Yeah, I need to have my sleep, but I also need to get up and exercise too. So I think it's just prioritizing what's really important in your life and taking care of you first. Stephen, you're a nurse anesthetist, and I know that you're under a lot of stress many times with your patients. What tricks in the trade do you have?
I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading on positive thinking, empowerment, and one of the issues, I can easily say I'm a workaholic, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a workaholic, but at the same time, I've learned to take care of myself and being a workaholic. I know when to say no. I know when to say yes. I function as a team player. I used to go into work, used to be in a job where everyone was negative, from my physicians to the staff that I worked with. I would come in the best mood. Within 30 minutes, I was down in the rubble.
Yeah, because it's easier to draw somebody down than to pull somebody up.
And I wound up changing jobs after 10 years. And I willingly chose to look at the glass as half full rather than half empty. And in fully realizing that I needed to make an attitude adjustment with myself. What would be the possibility and what would happen if I chose to be positive and chose a positive attitude instead of the negativity that I was allowing myself to get sucked into?
Right.
And that, I think, is the challenge that we all have in our workplace, because whether we're nurses, nurse anesthetists, physicians, sterile supply techs, we're all under a lot of stress. But the key is we have to take care of ourselves first. It's not being narcissistic. It's not being arrogant. It truly is. If we're going to be effective healthcare providers, we need to take care of ourselves first.
Right.
And this is where this presentation is vitally important, because our health matters. We're healthcare providers, but if we're not taking care of ourselves, how can we effectively take care of other people? Through that, I have rediscovered my passion, my commitment, and my joy in what I'm doing. And I feel like I'm living a second renaissance because I just turned 64 a couple days ago. I don't act it, I know I don't look it, and my feeling is I'm functioning at a level that I was at maybe 30 years ago. And now I'm looking at, okay, what can I do to pay it forward? And to me, being involved in other nursing organizations, AORN, AAC, and Post Anesthesia Nurses Association, some of my colleagues would look at me like, are you insane? But to me, we're all nurses first. I don't have an ego as far as being a CRNA is concerned because we're all together in this. And I think the paradigm is shifting that in order for all of us to survive, we have to be all together in this because I hate to sound cliche, united we stand, divided we fall.
Absolutely.
And this is my contribution to doing that. And this is the way I keep my balance in life as being a single person. And I gripe about the fact that I can't get a first date to save my soul, and yet at the same time, that's secondary in my life. I want to contribute. I want to know that I make a difference every day, but that has to come from us.
That's right. That's right. And we need to recognize that again.
Yeah,
We don't recognize that in our colleagues. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And one thing, you made an important, we have to look at our workplace and look at the environment, the negativity that's in our workplace environment. Surgical smoke, my whole research is on, my passion is surgical smoke, and I lecture all over the place on surgical smoke. It's a workplace safety issue. And when your hospital administrator says, we're not going to buy any smoke evacuators for you, that is absurd. And just go right down to OSHA and report them, and OSHA can come out and inspect and find them, and you'll have smoke evacuators. That's not the best way to do it, but yeah, there's enough research out there that says you don't want to breathe that stuff in. So thanks for all of that. The other things you can do, the alternative complementary therapies. I mean, Claire's so involved with that. That's why she always looks so calm. She always brings me right down to that calmness because she's like that with aromatherapy and, the importance of massages and things like that. And I tell my husband at night, when we're sitting on the couch watching a TV show or whatever, I said, you can rub my feet now and it'll put me right to sleep.
One of the things I discovered in doing meetings is, again, taking care of yourself. I immediately went to the spa here. I started looking at skincare products. What can I do to take care of myself? Because you only have one time to make the first impression.
That's
on
right.
anyone. And if you come in tired, look haggard like the polar bear on a Monday morning, that's what people are going to remember you. Or you're going to be the penguin dancing. It's not necessarily a Friday afternoon, but if you do that on Monday morning, people are going to look at you. You need to have some ECT done. You're obviously psychologically deranged, but to me, that's the way we need to approach things. And to me, I allow myself to get massaged and spot on a regular basis. Every 3 months, I go. I live in Indiana, very close to French Lick, so every 3 months I go to French Lick to the West Bay Resort.
Oh my!
And allow myself to be pampered for 3 days and do nothing but reground myself, breathe, and just listen to the birds, listen to the wind. And again, it's
you're blessed. Yeah, you're blessed.
Regrounding yourself.
Yeah.
Because then you can go back in the battle.
Well, that's a good role model to be to everybody else, and you should put a lecture together and all that stuff too. Well, thank you for your attention, and have a good rest of today. We're going to have lunch, I think, at 11:30, and then the keynote is right after that. But thank you for coming to the session today.